I almost forgot to bring the microphone over. Let's try that again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Probably going to need this if I want to do a post-game show. To whoever's in the world, you are streaming here on Twitter, as well as those of you on YouTube. Well, some developments in the series between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons. A lot of big takeaways from this one. Main characters from Game 5 include James Harden, Jalen Duren, JB Bickerstaff. Did I mention James Harden? Donovan Mitchell, Danis Jenkins, B-Ball Paul Reed. Wow. For the first time in this series, a road team has won a game. Series doesn't start till the road team wins a game. That has been accomplished. All right. It's always difficult for me to start these shows because I have so many thoughts in my mind that I feel the need to rush and get out. So why don't I just do that? And then we will add some sanity, formality, and structure to the show as I welcome you guys into the chat. Tony Brothers, thank you, chat. Another main character in this one. Let's start with Tony Brothers, just because it's the first comment I saw. Stop challenging Tony Brothers' foul calls. Stop challenging them. This man has shown us forever. He has told us, players have told us, he is one of the most hard-headed, stubborn refs on the planet. It doesn't make him a bad ref. He's getting these gigs every other night for a reason. And per the Players Association poll that just came out today that they published, he's considered an A-tier ref by the players too. But man, when it comes to I've made a decision, that man sticks with it. He is Mr. If I said it's not a foul, it's not a foul. So both sides got burned by Tony Brothers. I think they both lost their challenges because of a Tony Brothers foul call. So let's begin by discussing how that James Harden three-pointer is being officiated in this series. So the first time, and I saw a lot of people upset with Tim Legler because he was pretty confident in speaking with conviction that Harden was fouled. And the first, I believe, was Tobias Harris, if I'm not mistaken. That was close to a reckless closeout. It was close to a reckless closeout. I don't know if he actually completed the motion, but he was in the vicinity. And I am going to put a little on Tobias Harris for being experienced enough that he has to know James Harden is a walking, breathing electric fence. He has a force field around him. And if you invade that space, he's going to fall over and just gravitate to wherever your body is. He's going to embellish the contact, and sometimes he's going to get the whistle. It's less likely than not in the playoffs because the postseason whistle is a lot different than the regular season. But the first one, most certainly, Tobias Harris made contact with the feet. I don't think it was worthy of a review to determine if it was a flagrant foul, but contact was made. And anytime Harden lines up a three-point jump shot in the last, 5 to 7 years, defenders have to know that you have to take a route that detours around his closing space. And the NBA has said we are trying to limit the number of unnatural basketball motions to prevent someone like Harden from being rewarded. They got rid of the rip through, resulting in 2 free throws unless you're in the bonus. This was a point of emphasis. And I just did not like that Tobias Harris made slight contact. He was justifiably upset. Like, man, that really wasn't that much of a foul, but it kind of was. It was close enough that it could have gone either way, and you can't be upset with the ultimate decision. I think Tobias hurt his team in that moment because the Cavs scored the last 9 points of regulation, the first 4 of overtime. They let the Cavs get some easy looks at the rim in the form of free throws and putbacks. Otherwise, their defense was stellar. Yes, thank you, Carly. Tony Brothers was indeed voted in the elite tier, the A tier by the players in the Players Association poll that dropped earlier today. So honestly, I thought they got that call right. But then it was overtime, right? Where Kenny Atkinson, nothing means less, by the way, when James Harden takes his index finger and twirls it. Nothing means less. If I'm a head coach, I'm just standing there with my arms crossed, looking right at you, unless my replay coordinator gives me a thumbs up and says that was actually a foul. Well, guess what happened? Just that. Ball goes out of bounds. Kenny Atkinson was looking for approximate foul because when no foul is ruled, James Harden misses the shot. It goes out of bounds. There was pretty clear contact, I thought, on the slow motion replay that ESPN gave us going to commercial. I thought Evan Mobley may have brushed the arm there and invaded his landing space even more than Tobias Harris did. I thought we were going to come. Wait, did I just say Evan Mobley invaded his landing space? I'm sorry. Was it B-ball Paul Reed or Tobias Harris? I'm sorry, chat. Again, you can tell this is live and new because I'm just doing this shit on the fly here. Chat will correct me. Whoever on the proximate foul who did the flyby, I think it may have been Paul Reed. Anyway, we go to commercial. I thought there was contact on the arm. We come back. Oh, and you know what the best part was? Because I'm watching on International League Pass, so I can see what's happening in the arena during the TV timeouts in case something in the huddle or there's some like funny half-court shot or something. You know, the shit that I do during the regular season. So I was watching. Tony Brothers came to a decision so quickly that he was just standing in front of the camera waiting for ESPN to come out of the TV timeout. If you have International League Pass or an ability to watch the in-arena feed, go back and watch the break between that review. He has it solved within like 5 seconds. Once again, how dare you think that I missed a call? He made that decision. I don't even know if he needed to contact Secaucus. That was a really close one, but the call was upheld almost immediately, and he was just standing there staring into the camera like some weird I'm not even going to get into it. He's just staring into your soul, waiting to go live. Okay. And then the Asar Thompson no call at the end of regulation. So let's discuss this one too. First of all, what an incredible play by Asar Thompson to first block Jarrett Allen. What? That ball had to be 13 feet in the air. Jarrett Allen jumped full extension as a 7-footer going over his head with like a hook shot or a put shot. The ball had almost been released from his fingertips on the way up. And Asar Thompson just springboards straight up into the sky to block that shit. Phenomenal. Their athleticism is insanity that someone can be almost flat-footed and jump like that. And then he follows that up with a clean strip of Donovan Mitchell in the final seconds of regulation. You could hear that ball get slapped through the damn television broadcast. Asar sticks with it. He ends up not diving, but full speed ahead, trying to retrieve the ball before it goes out of bounds. Jarrett Allen does reach in. Jarrett Allen doesn't necessarily make contact with his arms, but his leg does impede the progress of Asar Thompson, and that could have very easily been a foul call. And even if it wasn't, because Detroit had used and lost their challenge, from what we just opened the show with, James Harden and Tobias Harris, guess who didn't have a challenge? And they could have very easily given a foul there because that would have constituted a proximate foul. That is the definition of a proximate foul. Ball goes out of bounds. Is there contact, either impeding the progress or the opportunity to retrieve it, that would have been reviewed and considered and ruled a foul. Almost undoubtedly, if they got to look at that in the slow motion replay. But because the Pistons didn't have their challenge, sorry, shit out of luck. And the ball did. I'm glad Mike Breen audited himself from his original hypothesis that the ball went out of bounds with like a second left. They showed us an alternate angle where the ball was still in the air. And by the time it did touch the paint on the sideline, there was 0.0 seconds left. You could make the case that so many different Pistons lost them this game tonight. But that challenge with Tobias Harris on James Harden, where Tony Brothers ruled that there was, quote, knee-to-knee contact, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he told us coming out of the first television break. Knee-to-knee contact. And therefore, we're going to uphold the call. If they win that challenge, the butterfly effect tonight, people, there were so many examples, and I can't wait to show you a couple more. So much shit to go over in this game. So I apologize if you're watching this on replay and I'm really disjointed and disorganized. I'm trying to make sure that I cover all the important events from this one. Because the butterfly effect, I think this was the biggest butterfly effect game of the postseason thus far. The butterfly effect of Tobias Harris not winning that challenge means we can't go to the proximate foul. Asar Thompson would have gone to the free throw line. There's no guarantee he would have made either of those free throws. No guarantee whatsoever because he's a poor free throw shooter, but he would have had an opportunity to win the game. Thank you, chat. Okay, thank you, chat. Slined out to Trim and Ye Yeezy have confirmed that it was Karis LeVert on the second flyby that the Cavs thought was going to be a proximate foul for themselves. Thank you, chat. I appreciate you. Karis LeVert, not B-ball Paul Reed. Karis LeVert on the flyby, resulting in Tony Brothers' second upholding of the night. But no proximate foul can be reviewed at the end of regulation. We go to overtime. And this is now where I would like to introduce, first of all, oh, yeah, you know what? Let's do this one first, just because I have it up. Just because I have it up. James Harden goes to the free throw line. And as he has been doing for years and years and years, and you want to know how I know this for a fact? I have been tracking it for a decade. You can click this link below my tweet where I have investigated this because I find it so fascinating. And how many players in the NBA, James Harden, LeBron James, are by far the two most guilty of it. I just want to get myself a little bit bigger. Hold on. I think you guys can still kind of see. All right, let's go with this one. So players, what they will do, this is with the Cleveland Cavaliers up by, can someone go into the box score for me? I think the Cavs are up by 2, and James Harden made one of 2 free throws the first time, correct? So what place is going to be hard for me because I'm in a smaller window right now. So bear with me as I try and describe this. But when I was living in New York, I would often go to Brooklyn Nets practice to ask these players weird questions. Okay. I did this study on DeAndre Jordan and how he was so good at winning jump balls. I did another study on players' balance during free throw attempts. And believe it or not, I didn't talk to James Harden specifically about this, but James Harden and LeBron are by far the 2 most prominent examples of guys who, when they shoot free throws, I could put together a compilation from one game where there is maybe 5 or 6 different lane violations by the free throw shooter. And it's because they are falling forward to keep balance so that they're not falling to the side, and the accuracy of their free throw. If you fall forward, it's a lot easier to finish, parallel in line with the rim. And a lot of these players will step over the line with a clear lane violation, not on purpose, but they're trying to gain a competitive edge. So then I went to the Referees Association and made a little fuss about it. And I go, why is this just never called? And I was never able to, they didn't give me any on the record response. I was able to back channel what was actually going on. But long story short, the referees will only pass around a memo to keep an eye on something if there's enough public pressure. And if there's one league, the NBA, that melts under peer pressure, it's the NBA. We saw that with the trophy on the floor in the finals, right? They are listening to social media feedback and making overcorrections or rash decisions because of the Twitterati all the time. And I made enough of a fuss with James Harden and LeBron James that I was told that there's going to be a memo going out in I think I wrote this in 2017. So holy shit, that was almost 10 years ago. I published the study 9 years ago. My God, I'm old. No, I'm sorry, 8 years ago. Looking at it right now. And I was told, keep an eye out for this to be solved. LeBron's first game back in Orlando, he gets hit with a lane violation on an egregious stepping over the free throw line during a free throw. And he looks at the ref and he goes, what? When did y'all start calling that? And for about a week or two, they were calling these violations across the NBA. You know what the result of it was? LeBron had to start shooting free throws, and I started taking more compilations. His balance was so off. He would fall to the side. His accuracy went down because he could no longer fall forward to stay in that little silo that's required to make a free throw. Now, what's eventually going to happen? I'm going to stop paying attention to this. Once it's resolved, everyone is going to think that this just isn't an issue anymore. But I could dedicate my entire life just to studying how many times James Harden and multitude of NBA players commit lane violations as egregious as this one. And you know what happened, by the way? After this lane violation, Harden missed this free throw. It hit the back rim and practically landed right in his lap. He ended up getting a second opportunity where he made one of two once again. And the game was essentially over because now they're up by 2 possessions. But this is something that's been happening that I've been following for a decade. I'm sure it happened before even I started watching the NBA in the 90s. But this one was as bad as it gets. This is as bad as it gets. He is doing this on purpose to gain a competitive advantage, and this one's not even close to hitting the rim, and he's got a full foot over the line. If this was properly assessed, a lane violation, the whole dynamic of the game changes. Butterfly effect example number 2. If Harden has to change his free throw mechanics and style in the middle of a series, that could drastically affect what happens in games 6 and 7. If somehow my tweet from earlier reaches the same referees association or the same people in the NBA saying, hey, y'all need to make sure this shit don't happen again. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem on our hands. If you see someone get a lane violation in game 6, come back to this stream, come back to this photo right here. I got a life to live. I got a job to do. I can't just audit every single time it happens. But I'm telling you, James Harden and LeBron James are by far the 2 most egregious violators of this rule. Okay, moving on. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. Let's now go to another Harden butterfly effect. I was really on butterfly effect. Let's talk about 1 minute left in the 4th quarter. Y'all, I know you want to complain about the officials and such. Why did it freeze? Why did it freeze? Excuse me. Why is it frozen? Not great. You guys know I get a little angry when technology fails. I'm getting a little annoyed right now. Okay. I think we're back. I mean, okay. So let us watch this play. 50 seconds or so left in the fourth quarter, score 103-101. This game is over if Cade Cunningham, watch Cade Cunningham. I'm going to let it run back one more time. Watch Cade Cunningham in the passing lane. Watch his head swivel. That is a lollipop pass. That is a frisbee of a pass from Donovan Mitchell, who was caught midair. Hold on. You guys probably can't see it. Hold on. I'm doing this live. Bear with me. Here we go. You're going to watch Donovan Mitchell almost double pump. He gets caught in the air, and he throws a lollipop to Max Strus because Cade Cunningham thought for the slightest of seconds that Donovan Mitchell was going to shoot that shot. You can see him start to look to someone to box out because Donovan, that shot is going up. There's Max Strus. I can identify him in case he tries to crash. Now, no one's ever going to crash from the top of the arc, but I understand why that was instinctual. If Cade Cunningham is paying attention, he easily steals that basketball. Look how slow this is. Look how soft it is. Cade passes it right by Cade's head. If Cade picks off that ball, it is an easy 2 points the other way, and the score is 105-101 Detroit. The result of which, Evan Mobley getting fouled. There's Tobias, again, doing some stupid shit on defense. For as good as he's been, he had two inexplicable defensive fouls here. One on James Harden with the closeout, and then trying to go for a tap back when Cleveland is in the bonus. Now, Evan Mobley has struggled in the playoffs from the free throw line, but he was perfect last game, so his confidence is returning. This results in free throws once again for the Cavs, who get a lot of their points at the free throw line to close out regulation and overtime. But the theme of the night has been butterfly effect. 105-101. Cade's going the other way as he jumps that passing lane. Really think Max Strus on an island is going to be able to shut him down. Instead, the clock stops. We have a tie game, and we go from there. An unbelievable turn of events right here. Oh, that would be keeping me up at night if I was a Pistons fan. Stop It Sims in the chat says, when I saw that play live, I knew Cade blew it defensively. He seems to make tired mistakes down the stretch of these games. Bickerstaff has to find a way to get him more rest during the second and third quarters. And what I don't have the video of is when he gets his pocket picked. That was in overtime, I believe. Or was that during the fourth quarter comeback? No, it was overtime because it led to the Donovan Mitchell layup. So Cade Cunningham is undoubtedly a superstar, people. Undoubtedly. But he has one too many Dion Waiters swaggy P moments for my liking. He occasionally gets caught dribbling the basketball like Stanley Hudson. And it was Max Strus who stepped in there, picked his pocket clean, 5 quick points for the Cavs. And you're right, he does have these moments where he just completely brain farts and shuts down, and it should be granted that grace because he played what? I bet his usage is just insane tonight. I don't think the advanced box score is out yet, but I'm going to check. Oh, it is out. Let's go. Any guesses on usage percentage before we look, chat? Cade Cunningham, usage percentage. He played 48 minutes tonight without looking. I'm going to guess north of 35. Considering how many shots he finished with, let's take a look. Oh, wow, 32.7. Usage percentage tonight, 32.7. So just about 1/3 of Detroit's total possessions with him on the floor, which was a majority of the game, were the result of his action. 32.7. If we go back up to the standard box score, traditional box score, Cade Cunningham, 10 3-pointers, 27 shots, 9 assists. He's on the ball a ton. So when you see 6 turnovers, I don't think that's as egregious as one might think from like a regular season game, considering how much he's on the ball and how much gravity he has to create for his team to score. That's 6 turnovers out of what was likely 100 total possessions. Not completely terrible. But there are a couple of these turnovers which are like stand out so bad at the end of games. He threw the ball away in Cleveland and threw the game away. He gets his pocket picked tonight. Those live ball turnovers are a lot different than dribbling the ball off your foot during a drive and it going out of bounds, because then you get to reset the defense. His turnovers are like glaring mistakes. Like, man, Cade, you're killing us. And I can't believe I'm saying that. Okay, not done yet, people. So if we scroll down, let's now go to James Harden. We're in overtime. And this is before what we just witnessed with the free throw violation. James Harden, 113-109, 30 plus seconds left, has one of the easiest lobs because B-ball Paul Reed sells out here a little too early. Look, it's like now he's there in the vicinity. He is not getting up to block or send away. Look how high that ball is. Like, that's where Jared Allen would have gotten it. And I thought Harden got bailed out tonight, despite all of his brilliance otherwise, that got Cleveland the lead. I know this has been a lot of negative Harden in surviving Harden episode, but this moment right here is why some of us are just so frustrated with this guy, because he always chooses the wrong item from the menu. That ended up being a pretty decent look that was lightly contested. But Paul Reed is not Victor Wembanyama. Harden has thrown that lob thousands of times. And that resulted in not only a missed shot, but a foul that stopped the clock. And if Detroit was in the bonus right there, now Detroit is shooting free throws with 28.7 seconds left. If they make both, it's now a 2-point game, and they don't have to play the foul game. I thought that was an egregious mistake, a poor process that resulted in a victory. But man, all you got to do is just put it right there for Jared Allen. It's like, now go with the lob. And it's easy to say in hindsight, but shit, man. And it ended up being a shot. All right. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of yapping. What else? Oh my God. Like, Jalen Duren just got benched. Jalen Duren just got benched in a game 5 of a conference semifinals. JB Bickerstaff gave him the DeAndre Ayton treatment that JJ Redick has done to Ayton in these past 2 series. You're out of here. Is he still going to get his max contract? You would think so. But this has been as inexplicable of a fall off. Someone who has asserted their physical dominance all season long. And the Pistons have played in some really big games. What the hell has happened? It's the closest thing to the Nerd Luck stealing talent in Space Jam. His feel, or that bunny, that he missed the easiest of all putbacks. First possession out of the locker room for the second half, like point blank range, and the ball is cursed. It just won't go in. And you can tell now it's just mental with him as he's running up the floor. JB Bickerstaff took him out early in the third. He stopped him on the way to the bench. We saw it on ESPN, and he was giving him instruction as well as very clearly, I don't want to say consoling, but like, man, we're going to need you. Go get right and come back in. Yeah, you're right. This was an all-star this year. And I would consider to be the second most dominating presence in the rim all season, short of Mitchell Robinson in New York. And Joel Embiid was hurt for most of the year. Like, does anyone have any answers? He's unplayable. He's unplayable. I am very curious to see if he gets pulled for Beef Stew or B-Ball Paul to start game 6. With JB Bickerstaff, if he does that, in a weird way, it enables the Detroit Pistons front office to have some leverage in their negotiation with him this summer. Like, man, you were so bad that you got benched. We're not ready to give you the full obvious max that everyone in the world, 100 people out of 100 just assumed was going to be a formality at some point. Has he played himself out of tens of millions of dollars? I still think he'll end up getting paid because Detroit can afford it. You want to invest in your cornerstone pieces long term and hope that this is a learning experience, but rough. He has no presence at the rim on either end. He's not rebounding. He's usually reliant on his physicality or physical dominance in being able to absorb rebounds. But now Detroit is having to send extra guys to the glass. What a luxury he once provided. That if you're the Pistons and you play solid defense, you don't have to worry about the most important part of a defensive possession, which is retaining the rebound, cleaning the glass. You can play the best defense in the world for 24 seconds. That shit don't matter if you don't get the rebound. And when you have Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, or a Jalen Duren in Detroit, what a luxury it is that gang rebounding is not always necessary. That's gone. So now Detroit can't get out into secondary transition or fast break as often. Lord knows they need as many easy point opportunities as possible. And he is not granting them those anymore. So guess what the result is? A lot of half-court sets for Cade Cunningham. And no Duncan Robinson tonight. Now their primary floor spacer, Duncan Robinson, who's responsible for making 1/3 of the team's three-pointers in the entire playoffs thus far, not out there. Even more pressure goes on Cade to operate in clogged space. Let me read some chats. Comment section. Is there anything you wanted me to address? Again, I'm sorry that this was such an erratic opening to the show, but there was so much shit to go over there. And I understand the Cavs, they won this game, but it is so hard to watch Harden in those ISO sets, man, with Donovan Mitchell just standing in the corner. Is it the chicken or the egg? Like, is Donovan Mitchell shooting inefficiently because he's just standing over there with his hands on his hips while Harden dribbles around? But Harden made more shots tonight. So it's justifiable. But the offense does not feel sustainable like that. They're just going up against a team that is somehow more offensively deficient than he is. Question in the chat from the kid 208. Are the Cavs a better matchup for the Knicks? Well, just yes, simply because the Knicks would have home court advantage. And Mitchell Robinson has completely dominated Evan Mobley and Jared Allen for the past couple of years single-handedly, let alone Karl Anthony Towns. Now, let's speak on Evan Mobley for a second, because I think the Cavs deserve some positivity for as much as I am sitting here and critiquing them. Evan Mo, 5 of 6 from the free throw. Look, I'm going to pull up his last 5 games. Here we go. Last 5 games. Game 7. So he was really struggling against Toronto. More than half of his field goal attempts, you can't see it because it's only showing me the last 5, but a majority of his field goal attempts in some of those games were from 3. He had turned into a stationary shooter. Ever since the Detroit Pistons series started, 5 from 3, 11 field goal attempts, 4 from 3, 10 field goal attempts, 2 from 3, 6 field goal attempts. Yeah, not a single game where he's attempted more threes than twos. And his free throw percentage. So he goes 0 of 0. He doesn't even get to the free throw line in the first 2 games. 0 for 0. 5 of 10 in game 3, but 4 of 4 in game 4. And then tonight, if I'm not mistaken, he went what? I think he missed 1, maybe perfect again. But I had gotten to the point that I thought Evan Mobley's lack of aggressiveness could be attributed to a potential mindset issue similar to Ben Simmons, who lost his aggressiveness because he was in fear of going to the free throw line. And considering that Evan Mobley's free throw percentage has regressed all the way down into the 60s during the regular season and the playoffs, I thought we weren't seeing that unicorn player that we've all seen flashes of and we expect from someone as gifted and talented as Evan Mobley is. I thought we had not seen that version of him for a variety of reasons. He too was on Harden Island, standing in the corner, waiting for Harden to do some shit for 7 games against the Raptors. Harden is supposed to be the initiator, the table setter, the creator, not the scorer. That's what a scoring guard is for. Harden's best role is table setting. But when he goes into scoring mode, you get a lot of hands on hips from your other players. And I thought Evan Mobley standing in the corner is a complete waste of his talent. So whether that's Harden's fault, not including him, or if Harden was doing exactly what he should have, and then Evan Mobley was voluntarily choosing not to be aggressive anymore because you know what? I'm really feeling my 3-point stroke. Man, you are too big, too long, and too talented to not be living down in that restricted area. There are only so many humans on this planet that are built equally as you. One of them is Giannis Antetokounmpo, not in the playoffs. Another is Victor Wembanyama. He's in the Western Conference. Another, Joel Embiid, not in the playoffs anymore. Kristaps Porzingis, one of the original unicorns, can't ever get onto the floor and plays for the Warriors. Like, who out there, certainly not Jalen Duren, would Evan Mobley have a disadvantage against? So every possession that results in him choosing a jump shot that has more than 5 seconds left on the shot clock and not just a grenade, I thought was ultimately a fail because we have seen his ability to rim run, to finish above it, and get violent down there. And there were a couple of possessions where Jalen Duren actually, for the first time all game, did something positive. He had like this powerful drop step clear out of Evan Mobley, and he banged one down, and then Mobley hit a 3 right in his face at the other end. Previous to the Duren dunk, it was Mobley in the paint, and you're just sitting there saying, thank the Lord, that version of him is back. But unfortunately, that too has not been consistent. But it's nice to see that his free throws percentage and confidence has returned. And if that free throw percentage, at least in his mind, is no longer a liability, I think you will coincidentally see, and I'm being a little sarcastic there, his aggressiveness return as well, because if I get fouled, I'm confident I can make the defense pay at the free throw line. If you don't have confidence in your free throw shot, then you stop going to the rim as much in fear of being fouled. That is a natural basketball emotion that hypothesis has been supported by any active or former player that I've ever worked with. Yeah. Listen, Evan Mobley saved game 5 against the Toronto Raptors. When the Cleveland offense went into the mud in the half-court set because of Harden and Mitchell bullshit, Evan Mobley hit a couple of grenade bailout threes out of the corner, I think 2 or 3, and they came back and won that game. Evan Mobley, again tonight, it's not on the screen here right now, comes through and saves this team with his three-point jump shot as they come back scoring 9 straight points to end regulation. They were hanging around for a reason, and I'd like to think he had the most to do with it. How mad am I going to be when Harden beats the Knicks in Madison Square Garden to go to the finals? I'll tell you one thing. Well, the Knicks are going to be heavily favored, but if somehow the Cavs win that series, it will not be because of James Harden. That is the wrong type of player to go up against this Knicks defense right now. The sleeve says James Harden is a basketball terrorist. Astute observation, sir. Or ma'am. Wayne says 9-point meltdown isn't talked about enough. I think that's pretty standard in today's game, especially with an offense that can't score in a half-court set to save their lives, like Detroit. It's just all Cade. The lob threat, Cade to Duren, was leading the league in alley-oops until their first injury in the regular season. That's gone. Jalen Duren's just not involved or being defended the same way anymore. Everyone's going into drop coverage or underneath the screen whenever he sets it. He has shown no ability to punish a defense from the outside, so everyone just retreats. Number 2, Duncan Robinson, not on the floor. So Cade's spacing changes, let alone Duncan Robinson's three-point shooting ability to punish defenses for having feet in the paint. One too many feet too close to the rim in the paint. Duncan Robinson, if you leave him open, will make you pay. Karis LeVert started tonight's game 2 of 2, and I don't believe he scored again thereafter. And how do I know that? Because I took his over at 7.5, and it was stuck on 7 practically the entire game. And he missed like 6 shots in a row, and I gave up. Good news is I had Donovan Mitchell's under, so I made up for it. 5 times the size of Karis's. That almost lost, by the way. It was 27.5. Overtime, it was starting to get a little hairy. W. Gordon says the Cavs traded the right kind of player to beat the Knicks to Los Angeles. Wait, they traded the Cavs. Who did the Cavs trade? Oh, in the Harden deal. Oh, you're saying Darius? Would speed kill the Knicks? Yeah, certainly big bodies are not going to beat the Knicks. The Knicks have the best front line, arguably, in the NBA. Harden. Knicks fans should be rooting for the Cavs for sure. Mainly just because of the home court, but Harden being on the floor plus the experience Mitchell Robinson has defending those 2 guys up front. Ryan in the chat says, what a game. Harden's really come alive over the last 2. If him and Mitchell are ever clicking at once in these playoffs, look out for them. I am a big critiquer. Is that a word? Critic. Jesus Christ. I didn't do very well on my verbal SATs. I have been a large critic of James Harden, and justifiably so. And this is part of what makes him so frustrating, is he is not a lightning rod for criticism, opinion, or stardom unless he has a lot of success. This is one of the most talented offensive players of all time. An MVP, surefire Hall of Famer. But what makes him so frustrating is how his talent and effectiveness gets diluted in the playoffs because of how physicality is enforced, and a lot of what contributes to his analytical proficiency is not ruled the same way. So when he's falling over and doing his bullshit and he doesn't get to the line as often, that obviously will dilute that. But he's still capable of giving you a 50 ball in the series between the 76ers and the Celtics. But after Harden had that monster game, what was the result of the series, both individually as well as team-wise? The Celtics ended up pulling that out. James Harden in Game 7 last year against the Denver Nuggets scored 7 total points in like 37 minutes. I think he took 7 total shots or some. The 7 is a common denominator in that performance that he just completely disappeared from. And the problem is he's on the ball so much. And the games that he disappears is going to be underneath the microscope, underneath the spotlight, because the rest of the team is so affected, almost domino effect style, based on the choices that he makes and the things that he does with the basketball. So when he stinks, he really stinks. Just stink and just be irrelevant and chilling in the corner. That's not the way that it works. So you either get the highest of highs or the lowest of lows. And in these last 2 games, the man, for the most part, has delivered. Looking like this and performing like this 3 out of 7 times has never been his issue. It's that 4th out of 7 times, which means his team is going to win 3 games out of 7, which pushes it to a potential Game 7. His teams aren't getting swept, and they win because of him. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Question in the YouTube chat from Aegon. Who's more unplayable, DeAndre Ayton or Jalen Duren? Ooh, I like that question. Who's more unplayable? Well, prisoner of the moment in hyperbole would suggest it's Duren. But I will not forget about Mr. Walrus Hands, the man who catches entry passes like he's wearing oven mitts. I would say Ayton is more unplayable because his boxing out and footwork on defense is unfixable. It is so far away from the minimum acceptable grading that he is a complete liability ever in open space. While Duren has been ineffective, I don't think he gets exposed defensively at the rate that Ayton does. What's up, Jish? Says, you know, the Aster class is going to happen with Harden. And when it does, it's a total stinker. Yeah. But the Cavs have to be feeling real good about themselves because they haven't lost a game at home all playoffs. Headed back for Game 6 with an opportunity to close it out. But also Detroit has been here. They just did this shit against Orlando, walked in there and got themselves a gritty W. So this series is far from over. Another YouTube chat from Al Kerbin asks, Wob, did you notice Cade fouling Harden after the free throw offensive rebound when the shot clock was at 9 and the game clock was at 19 in a 1-possession game? Well, James Harden, I didn't, and I'm not particularly sure what sequence you're talking about, but listen, James Harden got away with a lot there in the final minute. And when I mean, the final minute of regulation as well. Wait, I'm sorry, it was OT. Gosh, so much shit, man. When I say he got away with a lot of shit, this is also what I'm thinking about. And if it goes in, we're not talking about it. But the problem is it didn't go in. So we got away with this too. Alex says, I'm sorry. I think I called you Ale Kerbin. I think you're Alec Urban instead. It was an OT. They didn't have to foul. They could have played it out. Okay. Well, the original foul in overtime, you heard Legler talk about it, that he didn't feel like they needed to foul right away. There was only a couple second differential, if I'm not mistaken. Now, do you want to try and trap and see if you can force a turnover with your elite defense? I would say that's preferable. But if you let 10 seconds burn, you're going to have to foul, and now you've lost the luxury of being able to play that foul game. So I wouldn't say it was a worst case scenario. If you foul right away, and only a second comes off, you still have enough time to execute your game plan or your tactics that you want to go with the trapping and whatnot when the Cavaliers inbound the basketball. They could have just ran it back if they exchanged free throws, right? Oh, it was a 5-second differential. Ian, are you talking about overtime? Or are you saying a 5-second violation? He's talking about the offensive rebound on the missed free throw. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So yeah, good question. So I'm going to need you guys to be, it's not your fault. I'm going to need you guys to be super specific because so much shit happened and it repeated itself so many times. This is what you're talking about though. Okay, so it was off of the Harden missed free throw right here. Cade Cunningham personal take foul. Right here. Let's watch it. What? What the fuck? Why do you put fucking ad right in the middle of the video? Okay, let's watch it again before I get mad. So shot clock's off here. Do I need to scroll right? I'm going to look at the shot clock. Hold on. 12. Oh, so the graphic on ESPN is wrong. Okay, chat, you were right. So graphic makes it seem, the ESPN graphic makes it seem like the shot clock was off. But look in the top right, you can see 9-second differential. 9 seconds left on the shot clock. Because it resets to 14 once Cleveland got it back. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, I didn't even pick up on that the first time. Appreciate you, Ian. Oh, why did Cade give that? Oh, why? Look at the fan in the bottom right corner. Like, what are you doing? Oh my God, you're right. Oh, that's a fucking brain fart. Now, did Cade think because we just previously fouled that we need to give a foul again? That was his instinct? You could see Danish Jenkins go into surrender Cobra. Like, no. Watch Danis. No, bro. Oh, that's a huge mistake. Yeah, you're playing out that possession. There's a 9-second differential, and Detroit has a timeout in their pocket to advance the ball. Oh, I didn't pick up on this. Yeah, I don't. Ian says maybe he thought the clock was going to reset to 24 seconds. I think because, again, when chaos happens like this, I've been told your instincts just take over. you can't take the time to like stand there. Oh, I'm going to take a look a gander at the shot clock and the game clock. Let's see. 9-second differential means we should probably play this out. All right, I'm going to turn around. Now you guys can start the action. Like, no, you're on the fly doing this shit in real time. And because Cade realized we just fouled previously, that I should give a foul as quickly as possible now. And that ended up being a catastrophic mistake, even though Harden missed another free throw. It became a 2-possession game. How many people picked up on this when it happened? I didn't, because I was looking at the ESPN graphic, and it would be understandable why Cade Cunningham would foul if the shot clock was off, but the shot clock is on in the top right corner. Which Bill Bailey is asking, which bench is he close to? He's in front of Cleveland's bench. So he would not be able to hear the instruction, no foul, no foul. Not a chance they can yell that across the floor. Even if they're waving their arms like, no foul, no foul. Cade doesn't have the time to try and see them, hear them, and interpret what they're saying. But Danis knew. He's the only one that realized, no, fuck. V says there was another play in the fourth where Cade passed on an open three after an offensive rebound and looked like he thought he had a full 24 after a rebound instead of 14. Yeah, I'm going to need to see that one. These players know that it resets to 14, especially on offense. But in this case, Cade probably thought the shot clock was off. But that's a bad error. Yes, very bad error. Wow. Good call, whoever originally dropped this in the chat. User Heron says Harden fouling over looking for a foul. Wait, Harden falling over looking for a foul and throwing it out of bounds nearly cost the Cavs, because I think it led to a wide open LeVert three who bricked it. Yes. So when they went to the review and they upheld the call, that's when Karras missed that open shot out of the corner, if I'm not mistaken. But let's my God, I have so much shit to. Do I need to do a WAB investigation on all the shit that happened here? I think I might have to. Where's the Karras? Here's Karras missed three. Did he have another one? Oh, no, it's right here. So Harden out of bounds, turnover. Karras LeVert. So 113, 109. That would have gotten me my over, by the way, Karras. What a pass by Danis. So that would have made it 112, 113. Oh, he's so open. Oh, it's halfway down. Dude, there's so many. Like the Harden violation, the Asar Thompson end of regulation, the Tony brothers upholding the calls. Yeah. I might have to be doing a WAB investigation tonight, which I'm not thrilled about. Maybe I do a short one. Yeah, I'll repeat myself for those of you that joined late, Bill Bailey. My thoughts on the no call and trip were that in real time, I can understand why they didn't blow the whistle. But if the Pistons had their challenge still, they would have challenged that for approximate foul. It would have been called because it was pretty clear and obvious. Asar Thompson would have shot 2 free throws and likely would have won the game. Okay. I want to watch that. Right here. Let's see. Did the Cavs have a timeout? The Cavs had 2. Okay. Oh, Detroit didn't have any timeouts. They wouldn't have been able to challenge even if they had one in the pocket. So even if they had a challenge, if they still had their challenge, they wouldn't have been able to use it. They didn't have a timeout. And I assume the call where Tobias Harris fouled James Harden was before the 2-minute mark in the fourth quarter. So even if this was ruled a foul, because the contact is made with 1.5 seconds left. What a great strip, by the way. Okay, like 1.3, 1.2. Asar Thompson goes to the free throw line. He shoots 1 of 2 free throws. Cleveland calls a timeout, and they would get a chance to win the game in regulation or tie. What a butterfly effect. They would have, Cleveland had 2 timeouts. They could have even called the timeout, advanced the basketball, drawn up a play, called another timeout to see what the Pistons were doing defensively, and then proceeded. So I don't think you can say now after understanding the circumstances, I don't think you can say with conviction that this Asar Thompson foul, if you're a Pistons fan, would have guaranteed victory because the Cavs undoubtedly would have gotten a shot at the other end. And if Donovan Mitchell makes a fadeaway at the buzzer, you lose in regulation, let alone overtime. That changes everything, people. But if they had a timeout and they had a challenge, yeah, that's how it would have gone. So I guess that's still true. But Tony Brothers is never calling that. It's Tony Brothers. And it's not Tony Brothers' crew. It's number 25 at the bottom of your screen right there. That's Tony Brothers. Tony Brothers is Pelican Bay basketball head coach. Good job, chat, explaining how approximate foul is reviewed. Yes. So the ball goes out of bounds. You can challenge not only possession, but if the result of which was because of a foul. Okay. This actually makes me feel better about not doing a WAB investigation because they didn't have a timeout. When did they use their timeouts? 45 seconds left after Mobley's free throws to tie it. Pistons. Timeout? Wait, they only had 1 timeout in the final 2 minutes? Where's the Pistons? Pistons timeout. 3:29. What? Was that not the use it or lose it? What's going on here? When was the Tobias Harris foul on James Harden? Right here? Right here. Oh, 940. 940. Tobias Harris foul. James Harden 3 free throws. So that was a timeout. Pistons call another timeout at the 8:18 mark. Five time. Oh, so they only had one left after that? Hold on. We got to look this up now. 8:18. Right here. Thompson rebound that led to a timeout. Let's look at the graphic. Please load. Don't make me angry. It's starting to make me angry. Heaven forbid this shit just works. It's fine. We can do this. Why is there no timeouts on the screen? Okay, this is right before the use it or lose it. And Detroit has only one timeout. Okay, so Bickerstaff burned all of his timeouts, and he didn't have a use it or lose it. Does he? Wait a second. Does this dude? Don't tell me this dude messed up again, thinking he had to use it or lose it. Pistons timeout 3:29. But he doesn't call a timeout there. Does he? Wait a second. Do the Pistons dribble the ball into the front court? Oh, this is a problem. Do the Pistons dribble the ball into the front court because we're just watching? Do they, after this, do they dribble the ball into the front court and then call a timeout? Because they only have two left. They don't have a use it or lose it. Oh, boy. Hold on. Timeout. There's 9 seconds between that Strus 3 going in and the Pistons calling the timeout. I'm going to watch it. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Bear with me, people. I want to see what happened here. This would be a major mistake if Bickerstaff points to the spot and says call timeout so we can draw some shit up. He may have forgotten that he doesn't have a use it or lose it. Okay, what's the timestamp? 3:29. $3:20. Okay, I'm almost there. Bear with me, people. I want to see what happened here after the Strus 3. I wish they had timestamps. I wish they had timestamps like YouTube. Okay, almost there. 3:44, 3:33. What? JB. Hold on. You guys hear that? I can't show it to you because I'm watching it on League Pass. Bickerstaff calls it. That's a use it or lose it call. JB didn't know he didn't have a use it or lose it. That's a disaster. He calls it. So JB burns a timeout with 3:29 left. Danis Jenkins dribbles the ball across the half-court line. You can see Bickerstaff pointing, dribble it right here, and then he turns right to the left and goes timeout. So then Detroit's timeouts go from 2 to 1, and they didn't have one in the final seconds because they only had one left after that, and they used it. Not that it would have mattered because they didn't have their challenge anyway. We have seen Mike Brown. We have who else has messed up these use it or lose it timeouts? I mean, shit, that the whole controversy with the Kings and the Warriors at the end of the season was because of Doug Christie using his use it or lose it timeout. So, he got away with it because he didn't have his challenge. And it's not like the Pistons needed to advance the ball with a chance to win the game and then they were out of timeouts. But there's no way he would have taken his use it or lose it timeout there if he knew he only had 2 left. No way. You need both of those in the final 2 minutes for obvious reasons. And because it was just a standard dribbling the ball across half court and getting into a half court set, not fast break, not secondary transition. It was just a basic offensive possession, timeout, draw up a play. I'm about to lose my 3rd timeout, so I'm going to draw up an ATO. You only had 2 left. Great suggestion in the chat. You got to start saying use it or lose it. And if you don't have the you take a tech. Wow. What a game, man. What a game that was. It just took me an hour and 13 minutes to go through all the different, like, what if this just went the other way moments. And I think I have to cancel the WAB investigation because it would have been worth it. It would have undoubtedly been worth it if they did have a challenge and then they ran out of timeouts and then they couldn't get to the proximate foul on Asar Thompson. That would have been A block story number 1. But because the challenge was burned and they didn't have a timeout, nobody's going to talk about that. Even though, once again, I identify with the process more than the results. You can't, Ian, you can't say that. My one gripe with Mike Brown is he's reluctant to challenge. The Knicks lead the league in challenge percentage. Oh, maybe that's why it's so high, because he doesn't challenge that often. Rye Guy in the chat says, not sure if you discussed it yet, but how about this playoff run from Cade right now? This just has to be some of the best statistical dominance from the guard spot in quite some time. He's truly sensational. Yeah, I mean, he had a big box score tonight, but he had a couple of, like, really detrimental to his team moments. And they lost. But yeah, I mean, his talent is undeniable. He's not going to be a superstar. He's already a superstar. It's just, it's something you say after the team wins, or am I tripping? At least this game gives us a lot of content to talk about on air, especially since only one game was played. Yeah, they need to be bangers like this. All right. If I was going to do a WOB investigation, what would I discuss? The final 9 points scored, the use it or lose it timeout, not having their challenge. It just, again, it doesn't hit the same because the title of the video is like no timeout to save the season because JB thought he had an extra one before the clock went under the 3-minute mark. That's when the use it or lose it goes away. James Harden's free throw violation, Cade Cunningham giving the foul with a 9-second differential. That was a pretty major blunder by ESPN, not putting the shot clock on the screen. Too many scattered topics for a WOB investigation. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of how I make a story out of it. It would be more of just a compilation of highlights. Maybe I do something like that. Mickey says this is the deepest that Donovan Mitchell has gotten in the playoffs, the first time with 3 wins in the second round. How is that even possible? Considering some of his playoff performances. Yeah, that's Utah. Cavs. They got crushed by the Pacers. Man, Helwick, you missed a show, my friend. You missed. Could have used you a little bit earlier. But this is one to go back and watch because there were so many little intricacies that contribute to what happened in this game. Ryan Berger says that exact timeout is when the Cavs decided to throw immediate doubles at Cade Cunningham, too. That worked for them because the Pistons supporting cast just could not hit an open shot. Oh, yeah, it's open season on Cade Cunningham with double teams when you fear no one behind you punishing you from beyond the arc. We even saw Marcus Strasser minutes. How the Pistons successfully impersonated the Knicks in Game 1 of the 2025 Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, I that caption would play if they had their challenge. We would have a WOB investigation if they had their challenge. Or do I tell the story and we get to the Asar Thompson foul saying, well, they don't have a timeout. They don't have a challenge. And that means no proximate foul review. It just doesn't hit the same. The blame doesn't go on to Bickerstaff if he doesn't have his challenge left anyway. But the blame definitely goes on Bickerstaff if he does. And you're right. Asar could have very easily missed both of those free throws. Then the Cavs get a house money possession with 0.9 on the clock to end regulation. Yes, the Wizards fans finally get something positive since what? John Wall? Since the John Wall lottery? Has it been that long since Wizards fans have felt joy? Because John Wall's playoff series is the House of Cards. Did they make it to the second round? Or did they just lose to Cleveland? Ian asks, maybe I missed it, but why didn't Duren play after the third quarter? I'm trying to think of the reasons why he would play. versus why he didn't play. He's benched, and deservingly so. He's unplayable. He's as unplayable right now as DeAndre Ayton was in Los Angeles. And while Gobert had a monster series against Jokic, this matchup against the Spurs is his nightmare. This is not the Gobert series. He is like is it AB blood that can only take AB blood, can only give to AB blood? There's one very strict blood. Gobert is for Jokic specifically. They made the second round in 14, 15, 17. The buzzer beater versus Boston was 2017, and it's been downhill since. Yeah. Almost 10 years. Wow. Not the Julius Randle series either. No, not many are, unfortunately. What a frustrating player to watch because he gives it his all, man. He leaves blood, sweat, and tears on that floor. And I really appreciate the effort that he gave in New York, but he's just not big enough or talented enough to be initiating that style of play and finishing at the rim. He misses so many shots in the restricted area. He's physical. He's talented, but it's like there's such a low ceiling on his teams. I've had to experience it and endure it. And you want to root for the guy because he plays so hard, but man, he's a tough watch sometimes. And then him and Gobert, it makes a lot of sense why Minnesota's struggling to score. Regime says, I need a nickname to top Walrus Hands. You're not going to find it. Walrus Hands or Oven Mitts. If you're going to be insulting DeAndre Ayton, I prefer Walrus Hands or Oven Mitts. The worst hands of a basketball player in the league today, arguably in professional basketball. He cannot catch. If you drop a ball in his lap, it would roll down his legs. Jay Rule is asking in the YouTube chat, what did you think of the Pistons challenge that they used and lost? It looked like an obvious foul to me. I thought it could go either way, but since the ruling on the floor was a foul, it was going to be a tough overturn, considering there was some foot-to-foot, knee-to-knee contact, even though it was slight. I put the blame on Tobias Harris for closing out on a linear path when you always have to fly by James Harden. You have to fly by. Otherwise, that will happen. He sticks his legs out. He jumps forward. He does that all on purpose. It's a natural shooting motion. He bends the rule book as far as it goes in that regard. It's just barely natural enough. Similar to Shea and his forearm chicken wing or the shoulder, get off me as I'm dribble penetrating. He doesn't get called for a foul on that because it's not. And it's not an unnatural basketball act either. Yeah, I have no problem with Julius Randle's work ethic or his desire to win basketball games. He's got that dog in him, but he's limited finishing at the rim. And as a big man that is always seeking out and or soliciting bully ball, you have to be able to finish like your Carmelo Anthony. And he just doesn't have it. Yeah, I think the Knicks are going to be favored in the conference finals regardless of who wins. They'll be much shorter favorites against the Pistons because of home court advantage in Detroit. But the Knicks are going to be favored, yeah. OG Anunoby's back at practice, too. The Knicks are just a freight train from hell. Problem is, OKC is the worst matchup. The only way the Knicks have a chance of winning the title is if San Antonio upsets OKC. And even then, you're going to have to take down Wembanyama. The Knicks beat them in the NBA Cup championship, but much has changed. The Knicks will get one win against the Thunder in the finals, unfortunately. And then I'm just back to same way I felt in 1994. 1999 doesn't count because that Knicks team had no right being on the same floor as the Spurs. That was the Marcus Camby season. Patrick Ewing was cooked. Pretty sure there was Chris Dudley minutes in there too. But the 94 team that went to the summit and John Starks went for the field, I was alive for that. I know what that felt like. So, like, the Knicks getting to the finals is not we've made it further than I have at any point in my life. Like, no, man. You got to actually win it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be like, oh, it's the Mets all over again. So close, yet so far. And this is the window's open. The Knicks are going to win the East. They got a chance in the finals, man. But if OKC's at full strength, I don't know how anyone's going to beat them. That's funny. They're waiting to give SGA the MVP in front of Wembanyama in a conference finals. Sharp. That's how you build the hype for WrestleMania. Turn that trophy presentation into Raw. Aegon in the YouTube chat says how the Suns were close to winning the NBA Finals with Ayton as their starting center is mind-boggling. I mean, he was a different player back then. The Valley Oop is something that happened. He was much better defensively. Right now, he is. If he wasn't 7 feet, he would be fluent in Mandarin. They're trying to create Hakeem versus Robinson part 2. Like it. Is Jalen Williams supposed to be healthy for the Western Conference Finals? Man, listen, if you're a Knicks fan, honestly, I kind of want J-Dub to be healthy. That means less AJ Mitchell. I would much rather have a getting back up to speed J-Dub than AJ Mitchell right now. AJ Mitchell is undoubtedly the second best scorer on a dynasty team. He's fucking brilliant. Fearless. Finishes like Dylan Harper. Insane's the name says, am I the only one who thinks New York can compete against Oklahoma City, or am I delusional? I wouldn't say delusional, but there's a difference between compete and actually win games. I think the Knicks will be in those games, but they will lose 4 out of 5. Maybe that's the Knicks' best hope is J-Dub makes his return and then he starts siphoning away minutes from this OKC team that is a assembly line of death. Even then, imagine J-Dub's like actually good and all NBA again. Then you got AJ Mitchell with Case and Wallace on the second unit, and it's just good luck. I mean, the Knicks' second unit is stout as well, but they just defend at a different level, man. Jalen Brunson struggled so much against those guys. Can't get into our offense. The physicality they're afforded to play with is different than any other team. And they have size to negate and nullify what Jalen Brunson does so well, creating shots for himself. So the action's going to have to go through Karl Anthony Towns, and all the Thunder have done for the past 2 years is completely eliminate him from the equation. They don't even let him catch flex flashes to start the flex motion. They just deny those entry passes. He has games where he finished with like 0 3-point attempts, not even makes attempts against OKC the last couple years. It's just a horrific matchup. San Antonio can be defeated. They have some young guys on their team. The finals are some bright lights. And the Knicks are battle tested. I'll be the biggest Spurs fan in the world. Biggest Spurs. It's our only chance. Yeah. OG Anunoby returned to practice today. So he should be, I assume, fine by the time the Knicks play 2 weeks from now. They're gonna have 9 days off. Was AJ Mitchell acquired directly or indirect? No. I thought, didn't the Knicks originally draft AJ Mitchell? And then he got passed around a little bit. I forgot. Helwick would know the route. I agree, Helwick. Even though you guys were really good against them in the regular season, now that they're playing under a different set of rules in the playoffs, if OKC is permitted to get away with this physicality, this is what's killing Minnesota, by the way, is Game 5 was officiated in the first quarter like it was regular season game. That negates a lot of their advantages with that front line. But OKC trains the referees, and by the time you get to the third quarter, they are practically inside the jerseys of your team. And the referees are not blowing that whistle because of whistle fatigue. And they get away with everything. And if you play with that intensity, it just trains the referees that that's okay, that's too much. So when I say they get away with everything, it's not a complaint. They certainly earn it. But yeah, they win the championship this year. You have to consider this to be one of the best teams ever, I think. Thank you, Gabe, in the YouTube chat, who says the Knicks drafted AJ Mitchell and then OKC drafted Oso Ighodaro for him. Nice little trade there for both sides. 4-way trade. Thank you, Gabe. Josh Hart said he wished that they were playing sooner. Does that worry you, or is this worth it so OG can be at his best? Yeah, he said that because we're vibing right now. Why fix something that's not broken? But we can absolutely use the rest. We're only halfway there. If we're headed to the finals, maybe you want to keep the momentum going, but you still got a conference finals to play, man. You want to be as close to 100% as possible. The Knicks now get the luxury of time. This is something OKC has been afforded the past 2 years. They take care of their business during the regular season and the playoffs. There's a reason why they're the most whole team. That's not by accident. And now you get OG back? Absolutely. I think it's worth it. Helwig says that late second quarter against the Nuggets in Game 7 last year was the best example of what you're talking about with OKC's training. And remember, if you think the playoffs are officiated differently than the regular season, which they are, Game 7s are officiated even more. Is it liberally or conservatively? Conservatively than the previous 6 games. Game 7's no blood, no foul. Is my best man speech ready for the weekend? It is. I'm debating whether I practice it a lot and then try and like teleprompter in my head, but then you become reliant on, I don't want to miss anything. Or do you just have the talking points built into your head? You tell a story and it comes off more naturally. I may rehearse it just once or twice, but it's mostly going to be just vibes. And because I'm a co-best man, there's 2 of us. I really only have to do like 5 minutes. That's since there's 2 of us talking. So yeah, as soon as this is probably going to be the last show until like Tuesday of next week, because no game tomorrow. I fly red eye Friday night. Yeah, note cards, like having a little bullet points in case I forget for sure. but I don't need the bullet points to remind me. I know the topics. It's more of just making sure I hit the exact, like, I have a couple of sentences written out that if I say that, it will be nailed. Just make sure I say that to perfection. So I'm red-eyeing from LA to Newark Friday night, Saturday morning. There's no NBA games on Saturday, and there's no NBA games tomorrow. Sunday's the wedding. So if the Knicks play game 1 or if there's a game 7, I am going to have to watch it like on my phone. I don't know when the ceremony is, if it's going to overlap because we don't have the time of the game just yet. But if it's in the evening, I'll be able to watch it on my phone. But I got to be like a best man at one of my best friend's weddings. So I can't just be hiding in the bathroom like I'm on a date. There won't be a post-game show following that. And then I travel back to Los Angeles Monday night because I'm sticking around to do the radio show during the day from the hotel. So then I'm going to watch the game on Monday night, flying back to LA. And I likely won't be back here in time to do a show within an hour or two of the game ending. So you won't be seeing me again on Late Night with Wob until next Tuesday. Yeah, we don't know yet if game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals or a game 7 will be Sunday. That's what we have to look forward to. There's also potential for 2 game 7s. That would not be great for your boy. That's what I did, Jish. I practiced it a couple of times just in my living room. I got the gist of what I want to say, and then if I need to go to the note cards, I will. Yeah, I agree. Either way, we'll be good. I mean, I do a radio show for a living. I should be able to speak in front of like 100, 150 people without a problem. If we win the Eastern Conference Finals, am I going to hop in a Knicks space? Oh, with your randoms? No, because I'm going to be doing this show. Am I going to be having any drinks before? Yeah. Not enough to get drunk, because then I'll just make a fool out of myself. Little liquid courage hasn't hurt anybody in the past. How am I so well spoken? Any tips? Were you always this good? No, hell no. I would say I was even scared of public speaking until like 10th. I can remember this like it's yesterday too. I was taking an English class. I think it was 9th or 10th grade. Yeah. And they made us memorize some Shakespeare-esque poem. And it had like 5 stanzas. And your entire grade was based on like how much of it you could remember and recite to the class. And I remember standing in front. I don't know if I was nervous because of messing up or nervous about remembering everything. But I was like noticeably struggling with speaking in front of those people. And I don't know when it turned. I think it was maybe the introduction of social media. Well, I was on Twitter in like 2008, but there was no way to go live, be on camera. And I took a broadcasting class in college, but a lot of that was prepackaged, not live on camera. So maybe I didn't really go back on camera until Periscope became a thing in 2015. Maybe just the comfort of speaking with a community where different from radio. Like what I'm doing with you guys right now is I would consider digital and internet and live streaming. It's very acceptable to pause and like read comments and much more, I would say, relaxed atmosphere. But when you do radio, people can't see you. You can't ever have dead air. And you need to be able to essentially talk to yourself for 2 straight hours if you're doing a solo show while being articulate and, professional. It's much different than being a whole different world than doing live streaming stuff. Like the way that your cadence of your voice and the delivery and the crescendo of how you're talking about moments and coming prepared, hitting stats and stuff. It's a much different preparation process. And I don't think I would be as good as I am at radio now if I didn't have the experience with you guys since the Periscope Meerkat days in 2015 and just getting reps of feeling comfortable. And then everything else kind of feels different. Because when I did TV in New York on SNY, I had that show at 5:30 every day. There's bright lights, red lights in the camera. You're reading off of a teleprompter. And honestly, the solve to any sort of nerves is just reps. Just get reps. Meaning, do shows. Some people are going to get acclimated to what's required a lot quicker than others. But the people that I have conversed with about similar topics and how they got comfortable, it's always just about the experience of all these different scenarios. Like if you're doing let's say you're doing TV and the teleprompter goes out for whatever reason. What are you going to do? Just sit there and be like, oh, sorry, my teleprompter went out. On live TV? No, you can't do that. But someone who has experience in preparation for those moments can start improving and freestyling because you come prepared with something in the back of your head in an emergency situation. And you wouldn't know to do that unless you have practiced or gained that knowledge of what to do in those moments. So if you are nervous speaking in front of a camera, my recommendation would be get your reps, but don't worry about the way that you think people are portraying you. Because if you try and be somebody else, that will fail. That has a low ceiling. The only way that you're ever going to be comfortable is that you never feel the need to become a different character. It is so much easier when you can just be yourself. You don't feel like you have to lie in a way. Yeah. Reps, honesty, authenticity, and speaking on a topic that you're not only knowledgeable of, but you're passionate about. Ian says, I watch all your post-game videos, but I actually heard you on Sirius XM for the first time 5 to 8 days ago. Hopefully it was, what were we talking about? Because today's show was a little bit of a shit show, but you can understand like how I sound differently. Because I have a partner, right? My job is to host and to set him up. You want to play off of his voice inflection as well. You got to identify that. You want to put him in a place that he feels comfortable too. Helwick says, I never used the teleprompter when doing TV in college. I just preferred sounding more natural and less scripted. Completely fair. I think I prefer a teleprompter now. If I read through the script a couple of times, like I feel I'm so much more articulate, and I've really trained my eye to make it not look like I'm reading, that I can like stare at the screen. almost like monotone with my eyes, but I'm reading. If you're going like this, people will pick up on it. If you're looking up here, people will pick up on it. But some of my best monologues are me reading from a teleprompter. Even though I will agree that if you freestyle it, it always comes off conversation versus delivering a speech. Aegon says that the great thing about today's world is that you can fire up a stream on almost any platform and get reps. Very true. That was not the case until Periscope came out. And even then, Periscope wasn't even close to being mainstream. I would say live streaming wasn't mainstream until 2019 when YouTube Live dropped its original, for public use ability to go live on the platform. You sounded good. You didn't sound like you were regurgitating the same sound bites like others do. Yeah, no. Antonio and I have a very unique show. And not to brag, but we speak with people off the record. And like, we know referees, executives, some players, they're all listening. And they'll like text us after about something we said. And they come to us for that. Like tomorrow, we'll talk about what happened in this Detroit game versus like, should LeBron get a statue? Maybe we'll slide that in at the very end for like a couple of minutes, but it's mostly high level hoops talk from two guys that spend a lot of time either playing or watching these games. Naira says, I can't access the show in my location because the app is not available. Is there any way around it? Unfortunately not. Yeah, Sirius XM is North America only. How can I find the Daily Show is Sirius XM channel 86 from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern with Antonio. I remember that Periscope episode. RIP Periscope, says Jish. I started watching Wob on Periscope the day Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL, and Wob sat there for 9 minutes in complete silence. Was that against... So that was when he went for a dunk. Was that against Milwaukee? I remember him being on the ground like it's yesterday. That was the day he lost his bunnies. Porzingis is now really just a three-point shooter, but on the Knicks, man, he got up. Dream guest for the radio show. I've had a couple of two of my biggest heroes. John Starks has been a guest. Roy Williams was a guest from UNC. Those are like two of Wob's Mount Rushmore characters. I don't even know if I would want a LeBron. I've done KD before on buckets. Dream guest. Oh, Jordan. There you go. Jordan. Just because it would never happen. You guys have great chemistry. I'd tell you if you weren't, because bullshitting wouldn't be productive. I appreciate that. I don't want you guys to be sycophants in here. I deserve plenty of critique and criticism for as much as I give it out. Any thoughts on the Pacers losing their pick? It was a calculated risk which didn't go their way. I don't mind Pritchard making that trade at all, because if it hits, the Pacers are in fucking business. In the worst case scenario is you made a lopsided trade for Ivica Zubac, who's a pretty damn good player himself. There's been worse trades. Trust me. Much worse trades. And they happen, one in particular happened recently. It was against Milwaukee. You see, I've got PTSD with Kristaps in my head. The the Periscope was Thursday afternoon, January 31st, 2019. Hellwick, you looked that up. You're not that smart. You're probably the smartest person and not that smart. You had to have went and looked that up. Yeah, I remember watching it in my financial mathematics class. Did I do that? I did a Periscope where I just sat there and listened to sad bagpipe music? I must have been wasted. I have no recollection of that. Days says, I remember watching you on Periscope then too. When Kristaps went to Dallas, you were ranting about trying to get him to date Jen Selter. Oh, I forgot about that. Is that when he took the picture on the front of the hood of that car in New York? I was trying to set him up with Jen Selter and he left us in the dust. Man, y'all got good memories. Helwick, I believe you. Says, I did not look it up. I went to a Spurs Nets game that night. I know my dates. I'm not going to test your ability to pull out the most random timestamps in the world. You still have the clips of it? You're going to have to send me that. What was I doing? Did I do a show? Or did I just sit there and play the music? These Periscopes sound ridiculous. When you get to my age, you just start forgetting things. I have short-term and long-term memory loss now. I have no memory of that whatsoever. All the above. That's funny. Oh, wow. We're almost at 2 hours, people. So this is a good time for me to sign off, I think. I'm going to consider putting together a little media compilation of all the major moments from this game tonight. I mean, it's not going to be a wild investigation, but what else am I missing? User to lose it, timeout. I feel like I'm just going to be showing the game. But there were a lot of big things that happened. I do, yes. Helwick, I turned a trash bag into a TJ McConnell jersey, and then I sat in my courtyard. Did I smoke a cigar that night? I think I remember that stream. I'm to this day, TJ McConnell's still tormenting me. Leave me alone, TJ. Ian says, I'm 38. My long and short-term memory have been taking a hit as well. Yes, I know the feeling. You just like forget shit, man. I don't know how else to explain it. And some people like Helwick can give you the exact moment of when you open the door to your apartment. Like, man, I can't even remember shit that I did on camera for show, like memorable things. I did have a cigar. Okay, I remember, Helwick, I remember why I did that stream. I was smoking a cigar because earlier that night I said I would go live on the street for a week if the Golden State Warriors lost to the Philadelphia 76ers at home. I'm talking peak Warriors, like the best Warriors team without Kevin Durant. playing a tanking process 76ers with Tony Rorton, Isaiah Cannon. Is Matt Barnes on that team? I think Matt Barnes tried to fuck me that night. It was close. It was so good. The 76ers had a chance to win. McConnell was out there too. And then I went out and smoked a cigar wearing his uniform as a trash bag. How ridiculous, considering that was by far the biggest spread of the season too. I think the Warriors were 17.5-point favorites, which at the time was like impossible. No NBA spread was ever north of 10. I think it was the 10-win Sixers, yes. And they almost beat the Warriors in Golden State. Oh, okay. I thought it would be Isaiah Cannon. Sixers were up double digits in the fourth quarter, but lost. I was fucking stressed. Am I going to have to go live on the street for a week? Think about how poorly that would have aged, considering now the economic disparity in America and guys pretending to be homeless because of a basketball game. Like, that would be the worst look in the world. But it was a different time in the 2010s. All right. I got to go. This has been fun. I love going down memory lane when it's appropriate. And I'm glad we got it all out, because we likely will not do another show until next Tuesday, unless I find some time Saturday night, but there's no games on. Tough to do a post-game show when there's nothing to react to. It'll be a whole bunch of this, which I enjoy, but the masses probably don't. That stream was my college spring break entertainment. I'm glad I could supply it. You should have been at Senor Frogs or at the Bungalow, Helwick. On that note, it's been a pleasure. Hope everyone has a good, is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? Where are you guys? I think it's Wednesday where you are. Tuesday here. What day is it? It's Wednesday here, Thursday on the East Coast. Zach in the YouTube chat says, no post-game shows for when we know the Western Conference Finals matchup. But probably not, because I will be at a wedding. Hollis Thompson. Nice name drop there. I will be at a wedding this weekend, so it's going to be very difficult for me to do a post-game show, if not impossible. So sorry about that. We do what we can around here. Yes, sir, right guy. It's been a pleasure, my friends. Shout out to Prophet X for sponsoring the stream as always. I'll see you guys on the timeline. Deuces.